Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Friday, May 12th. So today we have the moon in Aquarius all day. Of course, we're building towards the last quarter moon taking place in Aquarius. That kind of brings a different level of intensity. Why is that? Well, because we are reaching the last final chapter of this particular moon and lunar phase that we've been in. Kicking off with, of course, that new moon solar eclipse in Aries energy that we had way back before we even jumped into Taurus season. And of course, since then, we've had a full moon. We have had a lunar eclipse full moon. We have had Mercury retrograde. We have had Pluto retrograde. We have had a lot of things happen, basically, in this last lunar phase. And the last quarter moon of any particular lunar phase is a time where we bring the pieces together, where we bring things full circle, where we start seeing the bigger picture, the bigger vision, where we start really kind of seeing where it is that we have to sort out the good from the bad, what is coming with us, what we're leaving behind in preparation for this next lunar cycle that of course will begin with the new moon in Taurus on May 19th, officially closing the door to this eclipse energy. So right now we are in the process, especially under the Aquarian moon, where we are emotionally detaching from our circumstances. We feel a little bit more removed, which, you know, with Venus and Cancer at the moment, we're definitely all caught up in the field. So this is a nice little break, if you will, for us to see things from a different perspective, a bigger, broader picture, a different angle, if you will, on where it is that when we emotionally remove ourselves from our circumstances and situations, suddenly we see details. We see things from a different angle that we wouldn't have normally seen them because we were too wrapped up emotionally, responsive, reactive to some of the thoughts, some of the ideas coming in on how it is that we are going to change things up. Of course, the fear of loss really dictating what it is that we are hesitant on breaking free from at this present moment. But that is why the Aquarian moon is so beautiful for us, because it allows us that emotional detachment, shows us the bigger, broader perspective and picture, and really gets us down to a problem-solving, solution-oriented type of mind space. And that is something that we definitely need right now. So with 12 different aspects here today and 10 of them involving this moon in Aquarius, we are definitely going to be sorting out our thoughts, our emotions from a different level of understanding and awareness that will lead us to some very profound epiphanies. Right out of the gate, we have the moon in Aquarius making a positive interaction with Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of growth, of expansion, of beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who is in the final degrees of this Aries energy, preparing to dive into Taurus energy next week. This is a big deal. This is a major shift. You can go ahead, listen to the 2023 energy forecast that I put out at the beginning of the year. Go ahead, look up this particular point in the calendar, understand what Jupiter's movement into Taurus is going to be all about. Of course, there will be an astro forecast that will accompany this when we get closer to the day, the 16th, mind you. And if you've downloaded your Taurus season e-guide, you will already kind of know what we're building ourselves into with this shift, what the main focus will be. And of course, just keep your heart and head open, observe the patterns and behaviors as we kind of near the ending degrees of this Aries energy. We prepare to shift into the Taurus energy that we will see Jupiter sit in for the next year. This is a positive interaction, which means that we are seeing things from a different perspective, a different awareness, a different understanding. And from that, not only are we seeing how much growth we've already been able to kind of do and get under our belt, and how much we've been able to heal, and how much we've been able to shift our perspective and open ourselves up to new opportunities, to change, to transformation, but it's also providing us an aha moment on the strategy, on the plan that we need to be in alignment with in order to actually move forward and embrace some of the changes, the hands-on changes that we're going to have to make. This is an epiphany. This is a huge magnification, if you will, on the path moving forward. The Aquarian energy projects us into the future, and we have to see where it is that we want to be in the future in order to come back to this present moment and see the gap, see the distance between where it is that we're at, where it is that we desire to be, so that we can come up with a plan, with a calculated strategy on how it is that we are going to actually get there. The moon in Aquarius sextiles with Chiron, the wounded healer. This is a beautiful energy, again, kind of compounding with the earlier energies of Jupiter, that we are making some significant progress. We are healing some of the wounds that have had us in repetitive habits and patterns and behaviors, keeping us stuck and paralyzed in our current circumstances. We are reinventing ourselves. We are boosting ourselves up. We are preparing to make major changes and transformations in our lives because of the work that we've been doing within ourselves. Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of communication, ruler of information and how it is that we express ourselves, who of course is still retrograde. We will be seeing Mercury kind of go direct on the 14th, which is very, very welcomed for all of us, I would say. Mercury retrograde in this Taurus energy will be sextiling a beautiful energy with Saturn. Saturn's the Lord of karma. He rules over roles and responsibilities. He is in Pisces energy, dismantling our old belief system, dismantling our old dreams, our old visions. Why? Because we've changed our minds, we've changed our heart space, we've changed our frequency, our vibration, and mostly we have recognized where it is that the old programming of fears and doubts and insecurities and false delusions that we were telling ourselves has totally derailed us from aligning with our authentic self and aligning with a mission, with a meaning, with a purpose that will absolutely push our soul into its fullest potential. So Mercury sextiling with Saturn in such a way, first of all, because he's retrograde, is going to bring a certain element of reflection. We've been looking back. We've been reflecting back. We've been reviewing, revising how it is that we got here, what it is that we've built in our lives, what it is that we're no longer in alignment with, what needs to stay, what needs to go, what we need to build, what we need to grow. What this is going to do is provide us with a new insight. We are going to see layers kind of fall back, revealing a different truth, revealing different circumstances, different details. We are seeing new levels to certain circumstances and situations that we were kind of taking at face value. And even more than that, we're going to have some aha moments providing us with some logical and practical solutions to some of the problems that we've already identified that are weighing us down, that are blocking us from moving forward, that 100% has to change, has to be altered, has to transform in order for us to actually move on, move forward in the pursuit of new happiness, new dreams, new goals, and new visions. Here's where things get a little choppy. The moon in Aquarius energy is going to get into the boxing ring, square off with Uranus, its ruler, who happens to be in this Taurus energy. So a square creates tension. It creates conflict. In order for us to see where it is that we're not on the same page, where it is that we're not in alignment, where it is that change and transformation is needed the most. Well, here's the thing. The Uranian energy usually provides us with aha moments, with a breakthrough, with an epiphany that will change the course on where it is that we push ourselves forward. Really kind of clarifying how it is that we think, how it is that we feel, what it is that we're actually looking at, what it is that we actually want to do. This is a square. This provides us with the opposite of all that. So we're not having an aha moment. We're actually sitting in more confusion at this particular point in time than ever before. We are not having an epiphany. We're actually having a little bit of a blockage in our thought process, in our feelings, in our intuition, which means that we're retreating. We're not moving forward. We're actually retreating. We're moving inside of ourselves. And thank goodness we have the moon in Aquarius right now really kind of helping us to emotionally detach, to kind of see things differently, because this is going to create a lot of disruption in our emotional field, a lot of disruption in our thoughts and our ideas and our perception and our understanding. So instead of pushing forward with clarity, with confidence, with aha moments and understanding where it is that we have to come up with a strategy to actually build something new, now we're questioning everything. We're tearing things apart. And that never really feels good. The moon will then go ahead and interact with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money, who's in this Cancer energy, making us a little bit more emotional than we would prefer, a little bit more nostalgic than we would prefer, a little bit more attached to people, to possessions, to ideas, to behaviors, because again, this Cancer energy very attached to traditions, to the old. Yes, even though we're praying for change, letting go of the things that we've already kind of made happen in our lives, it seems to be a very scary process, a very scary thing to do. Well, Venus, who is very focused on value, on worth, starting with the value and the worth that we see in ourselves, then of course we see it in other people, then of course we see it in our finances, in our routines. What makes us happy? What provides us with safety, security, stability? Where can we create more joy, more pleasure in our lives? Well, we're getting back to the nitty-gritty basics in this Cancer energy, but having the moon in Aquarius kind of interact with Venus in this way, especially after this tension point with Uranus, definitely going to confuse the emotions that much more, especially where relationships are concerned. We're really sorting through the energy exchange, the energy dynamic of who it is that we're pouring into and whether or not they're pouring back into us, and kind of seeing where it is that we need to create boundaries and regulate our emotions and our wants, needs, and desires to show up and save other people from their own lives when we should be concentrating on showing up and saving ourselves. So this is definitely going to put a different perspective on what it is that we actually need within ourselves, within our physical environment, and especially within our personal relationships. 10:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the moon in Aquarius energy squares off, gets into the boxing ring with the sun in Taurus energy. So this is what gives us our last quarter moon. This is, again, not a time to start anything new, not a time to take action on initiating anything that is new that you want to have stick around for a while, because it will fall apart. Okay. What we need to be doing right now is reflecting, which we've been doing, retrograde. We need to reflect back on how it is that we've gotten here. We need to sort out what needs to stay, what needs to go, what needs to die, what needs to grow. I know it sounds poetic. I'm going to continue to say it because I want you to constantly have this narrative in your head when you are looking at the circumstances that either make you happy or is sucking the life out of you. I want you to constantly say, okay, what needs to stay? What needs to go? What needs to die? What needs to grow? That is the mantra that we need to be in right now as we sort through the circumstances of our lives and provide a very completion point ending, chopping the head off the snake, shutting the door on certain topics and themes and maybe even people in order for us to build something new. That's what the sun in Taurus energy is shining a bright light on. What in our physical realm and our physical circumstances feels good? Anything that does not feel good, how can we either change it to make it feel good or get rid of it altogether, create a space for us to build something new in its place? We have to get real. We have to get raw. We have to get vulnerable with ourselves, especially when it comes to having some hesitancy on letting some things go, letting some things die, because of the fear of the what ifs. What if I'm making the wrong decision? What if I'm making a mistake? What if I don't find somebody that loves me in the way that they do, even though they're not loving me correctly? Okay? We have to abandon the fear, the doubts, the insecurities. We have to lean into taking a leap of faith and understanding that anything that does not feel good right now is not in alignment with the new vibration and frequency that we're trying to anchor in and embody. So this does bring an intensity. It does bring a different shift in perspective, because we do have to start sorting out the details of our lives in preparation for a brand new clean slate to be provided to us when the new moon in Taurus energy hits on the 19th. The moon, shortly thereafter, will go ahead and make a positive interaction, a beautiful interaction with the true node, the north node, if you will, in this Taurus energy. What this screams is that in that conflict, in that tension between the moon and the sun that gave us our last quarter moon, what we're getting from that is an aha moment. We're getting an epiphany. We know what needs to change. We know what needs to be let go of. We know what we need to create. We might not have all the pieces, the whole strategy, the whole plan together, but we have a good indication on where it is that we need to start. And this in itself is the first initiation in growth, in healing, in understanding the path that we've been walking is now coming to an end, and the path that we need to get on is calling out our name in some big ways. But we have to kind of clean up, tie up the loose ends of the past, of our current circumstances, in order to create a space for us to launch ourselves in this new path, in this new direction, in order to pursue new happiness, new goals, new visions, new dreams. The moon will then interact with Mercury shortly thereafter, and this is a beautiful energy as well. This is our heart space, the moon, and our head space, Mercury, getting on the same freaking page. Probably not about everything, but about enough in order for us to feel like we are on the right path. We are in alignment in our heart space, in our head space, and that is the first stage of manifesting a new physical realm, a new physical reality, new physical element. So this is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We might even find that we are put in positions to have heart-to-heart conversations that I would say, and let's just be clear here, we're still in a retrograde, which means that we're not communicating as effectively as we would hope to kind of do. We are hoping that what it is that we do speak on, especially matters of the heart, will be received in a very open-hearted kind of way from whoever it is that we need to kind of speak these words to. But Mercury is still retrograde. Miscommunication, misunderstandings are super, super high, super probable, super likely. What I will say is that we do not want to shy away from an opportune time to get some things off of our chest, to clear the air, clear the space, especially in our personal relationships, that we have to kind of, clear the air on, clean the slate on. However, if you do find yourself engaging in these types of conversations, first of all, be very, very confident in how it is that you're speaking, because again, mishaps, misunderstandings are highly probable, but also understand that this probably isn't the last time that you're going to have this conversation. You will bring this up. You will revisit this conversation once Mercury actually goes direct and that fogginess actually clears. So just be mindful of that if you engage into heart-to-heart conversations, into serious conversations that, yes, need to be had, but will not be brought to a full completion point until a couple weeks from now. The moon is then going to go ahead and interact with Mars. Mars, of course, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passions, our desires. Nearing the final degrees of Cancer energy, thank freaking goodness. We will all be very happy when Mars moves into Leo energy on the 20th. If you haven't listened to May's energy forecast as of yet, please go ahead and do so. If you haven't downloaded your zodiac forecast for the month, please go ahead and do that. We have a lot of astro events still needing to take place in the month of May, still in Taurus season, that you should understand where these events, where these energies are going to manifest in your life, and you can gain that information from your zodiac forecast. Anywho, Mars in this Cancer energy, very frustrating, very agitated, because we can't take action like we want. We don't even, one day we think we know the direction, then the moment kind of, pushes us into something else. We question everything. We build something, we feel confident about it. The next moment we tear it down, we tear it apart. We just start from scratch. We're all over the place in this Cancer energy, mostly because it's a water energy, and water energy tends to ebb and flow. And sometimes we just are getting tired of having to float. We want to reach land. We want to have control over our actions. We don't really want to have to, regulate ourselves depending on external factors. We want to take charge, and we will definitely feel that more with Mars in Leo energy, but we're not there yet. And so the moon interacting with Mars in this way is going to highlight for us a choice point, a decision point, a crossroads point that we are going to kind of lean more into because, again, there's been a lot of uncertainty. There's been a lot of kind of riding this fence post, not knowing which way we should lean into. Well, this is going to provide us another different perspective, if you will, on the options, on the opportunities that we currently have an awareness of. Again, just a side reminder, there is a huge chunk of information that we don't even know that we need to know as of right now. And that will be coming at us over the next couple of weeks here. And when we receive this, information and details and have this like new perspective be illuminated to us, we're going to A, have a lot more information to work with, B, be well informed about the decisions that we're going to make, but C, be totally flabbergasted, thinking back to this particular time, thinking that we had all of the information, all of the details in front of us. It's going to blow our mind that we didn't even know that we didn't know that. Right? So there is still a little bit of that unexpected energy from the eclipse season that we're still very much in, by the way. We will be in until that new moon in Taurus on the 19th. We still have some unexpected events, details, and information that has yet to unfold. So we have to be open and aware of that. But basically, the moon and Mars are just kind of showing us, emotionally speaking, thank goodness that we're emotionally detached with the moon in Aquarius, where it is that different options, different opportunities, different perspectives, different paths, different directions are starting to emerge for us. And we might not know which one is the best one. We might not know which one excites us the most or, kind of initiates that passion, that desire that we've been lacking, but we're given some good thought to it. And if you listen to your anger, listen to your agitation, listen to your frustration, that will reveal a lot on what needs to change first and foremost. So listen to those not so nice thoughts and feels and energies that take over, because that is a clear indicator on what it is that is kind of holding you back, frustrating you, agitating you, and of course needs to be changed ASAP. The moon then goes ahead and interacts with Neptune. Neptune, of course, in its place of power in Pisces energy, ruling over our intuition, our spiritual selves, our dreams, our creativity, our inspiration. Well, here's the thing. We are really trying to piece together what that dream, what that vision, what that goal actually looks like. The moon in Aquarius does project us so far into the freaking future in order for us to kind of gauge whether or not the vision that we are currently trying to piece together, the dream that we are trying to manifest, is what we actually want. Now, there might be a little bit of a disconnect with our higher selves right now. We are in a state of confusion, naturally, due to the retrograde and eclipse energy. So there might be a little bit of a disconnect with our higher selves, with our intuition, but basically we are kind of floating off from our physical reality at the moment to kind of live in our headspace, to project ourselves into the future, to kind of sort out the details on what it is that great grand vision actually is, what it would look like, the details that actually make it up. We're starting to formulate a vision, a dream, a goal from our current understanding, perspective, and the information and opportunities that we currently have. Here's where things get interesting. Mercury, who is retrograde in Taurus energy, is going to sextile with Venus. Now, Venus rules over the Taurus energy that Mercury is in, and Venus is in Cancer energy. So a lot of emotion, yes, thank goodness again for the moon being in Aquarius energy, providing us with a little bit of an emotional break. But here's the thing, we have new desires. Oh my goodness, what are we desiring? Well, we desire to actually speak on our thoughts, our feelings, especially where our personal relationships are concerned. We have a desire to analyze the problems, the situations, the opportunities for us to grow, for us to heal in our relationship dynamics. And the even more interesting part is that, again, we're still in eclipse energy, so we do have to expect the unexpected. We did just have the Sun and Uranus pop off in their annual conjunction, which opened up the door for a pivot point of new opportunities, new change to actually infiltrate our new current realities at this moment. This is a high probability that either thoughts, memories from the past, people that had your heart from the past, absolutely come back in this present moment, either in the physical form or in an energetic form like I said, from a dream, from an idea, from a memory, from a conversation. Regardless, this is a very pivotal point where nostalgia is just going to knock us off our rocker. We have kind of like a double-edged sword happening here. Mercury, ruler of the logical, practical, mental plane that we have, in a retrograde, looking back, being nostalgic, romanticizing the past, looking at the circumstances of the world, the reality, the realm in which we've created, kind of ties in, gets a double whammy of intensity, of reflection, of nostalgia, of tradition by this Cancer energy that Venus is sitting in. So this is like, if the past could come back to haunt us in a good or bad way, this is the moment that gets triggered and activated for those particular storylines to actually manifest. Now, this isn't a bad thing. It might sound like a little bit like, oh God, we don't want nothing from the past coming back into the present moment. I get that. But this isn't a bad thing. This is a sextile. This does kind of suggest that we're having a huge change, not only in thought, but in heart. This is a rewriting of the revisitation of the circumstances that has kind of held a space in our heart space, in our mind space, as far as memories and emotions go. They come flooding back in order for us to re-acknowledge them, to reprocess them from the levels of awareness, of consciousness that we are currently reaching. So this is an epiphany, a desire to actually explore our heartfelt emotion when it comes to people of the past and it comes to the people of the present. And it is going to be a huge heart activation. If you haven't listened to this week's Ascension forecast by now, you probably should have, because it explains very clearly the physical symptoms that we were set to have with all the changing energies of this week. This would be a shift in heart space, a shift in head space, which will bring the Ascension symptoms that affect the head and the heart chakra. Lastly, what we got going on here today is the moon in Aquarius sextiling beautiful energy with Jupiter. Now, we started the day off with Jupiter. We're going to end the day off with Jupiter. Both of them very positive aspects. And what this means is that when we kind of get into bed and we tuck ourselves in for the evening and we kind of take that deep breath of recognizing that we survived another day and we do that miraculous thing of kind of reviewing and revising the day, reanalyzing the situations of the day, what we are going to realize is that we made a whole hell of a lot of progress in our inner realm. There were huge epiphanies. There were huge ideas explored. There were huge revelations in our heart space, which means that we are growing, which means that we are reinventing ourselves every single time that we heal a memory of the past. We are essentially recalibrating who it is that we are in this present moment, which has a huge impact on who it is that we will become in future moves. And so what we're gaining here today is a huge, bigger, broader perspective on not only where it is that we've come from, not only where it is that we're at, but where it is that we desire to go from here.